it's the wrong template. It sends the Instagram reminder.
All right. Well, I won't do that then.
Hey guys, we've signed up.
Signed on.
We've signed on just a couple of minutes early. I'm Chris Scott.
And I'm Gary Kreth.
And we're with the Paperless Agent. And we're going to be talking today about how to get listings, how to do listings,
how to market listings, how to get listing appointments first. So
yeah,
we're going to be talking about all kinds of goodness today.
Well, but we wanted to sign on just a little early to give everybody some time to log in. And then we've got a couple of requests to make, right?
What's the first one?
Well, the first one is, let us know if you can see and hear us. Just go to the chat feature and just say loud and clear. And if you're in the mood, tell us where you're logging in from.
If you're in the mood, because it takes so much effort.
Well, the other thing I would request is that go ahead and if you haven't done so already, download the workbook / training guide that we shared with everybody. You would have
Rudy just posted it for everybody.
Excellent. So we want to make sure that you have a resource to follow along with, as well as something that you can take with you as you go. And what I tried to do with that particular resource, Gary, was give everyone a sense of what we're going to be talking about, a place to keep track of what we've talked about, and hopefully get you a little bit excited, because I know this, Gary.
What do you know, Chris?
I know that it is a good time to go get listings. But
when is a bad time?
Well, I don't, here's the irony, is most people in our market have already started to put the brakes on their listing activity.
They have.
Right? Why?
Because there's this long-term held belief that, gosh, the fall, winter season is the worst time to sell a house. And that's actually been held by realtors by being trained by the old guard of, this is a bad season to sell. Let's wait until springtime to where flowers are blooming and the grass is green for you to sell your house. And then we as listing agents go tell our clients that, and then the clients put on the brakes. And that's actually false.
Well, what evidence do you have to say that it's false?
Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I will share with you is that over the past 21 years, I sell more real estate in the fall and winter season than the rest of the year combined, simply because that's when I ramp up my marketing prospecting activity, and that's when everybody else puts the brakes on. And I love that. By the way, I will put a plea out there.
Plea? I'm not.
If you are in the Austin, Texas market, please continue putting the brakes on to allow me to continue to list a lot more. I'm just kidding. Okay, so actually, Robbie is from Austin. Crystal is from Kingston, New Hampshire. Alice is from New York. Sandra from Ottawa. Brandy from Madera, California. Where's that?
Madera, California. It's up in the Central Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife's from there.
Chris is, you lived out near San Diego for...
I was in San Diego.
A good number of years.
16 years. Yeah, my wife is from Merced, which is kind of in that whole Central Valley area.
Okay. David from Tampa Bay, Sherelle from Orlando, Tammy from Katy, and, well, a lot more people. Robert in Austin, Shelly in Austin. Boy, I think I struck a chord there.
Gary, you said, like, hey, if you're in Austin, don't be doing this. So, well, you know what? If you're in Austin and you're here, do it.
Yeah.
This is going to be exciting, Gary. We actually have we've got a handful of high-end listings on the market. Heck, we even have a gas station on the market right now. So, and we've got a good variety of listings on the market right now. And so we're going to be sharing with you today exactly, how do we go about cultivating listing leads, listing opportunities, right? How do we find those? How do we talk to them? How do we turn those opportunities into legitimate listing appointments, right? And then how do we get that appointment signed? What are the closing strategies for that?
So we're going to be talking about all of that. And before we get started, I know you're just now joining us. We're going to get started here in just about a minute or so. I do want to let you know a little bit about what is about to happen.
Okay.
So number one, we're going to go into deep dive training for about 55 to 57 and a half minutes. And then at the end of the 57 and a half minutes, we're going to talk about some additional resources and tools that you have access to, should you want them, in order to continue your education and expertise. Then after that, we're going to get into a lot of Q&As, at least 30 minutes of Q&A. So I see a lot of people, Marcia, Shelley, Mickey, Gary, Rose, Christopher, Lori, everybody checking in here on the chat section. what I'm going to ask is, in exchange for us giving you everything we got over the next hour, we need you to pay attention, take a lot of notes, and ask a lot of questions.
Participate.
So, participate. Yeah. Go to the chat section and ask questions as they pop up, and we'll get to them in the Q&A section.
We might answer some of them real time. Just depends on if we catch it, because there is a lot of dialogue back in there, which we want to see. Now, Gary, here's the thing. Today, we're going to be sharing with everybody, the same strategies that you use before, to get the listing opportunities, what you send before you even go on the listing appointment. It's amazing how we don't realize that there is this time between the consideration phase of the home seller, at which point they are looking and evaluating their options. And it's actually happened. It oftentimes happens long before we have, real contact with them. And so if there are, we have tools that we send out that thwart the competition, to use some cool language there, thwart the competition before you even show up on a listing appointment. And so this is going to be exciting. So by the way, we'll do intros here in just a second, but I wanted to give everybody really the 4 takeaways that I hope they're going to get. And do me a favor, go to the chat section right now and tell us what the one thing is that you'd like to take away from your time with us today. And I'm going to share you what I've got planned for you guys today. So the first objective that I have for you is to learn some scripts and techniques to get listing appointments.
Okay.
And that's
well, number
critical.
one, we have to have the opportunity first, right?
Yeah.
So
we can't go on a listing appointment unless we have the opportunity. So we're going to give you guys some scripts and techniques. And the techniques are important here. Because we can give you the scripts, but if you don't have the techniques to be able to talk to somebody or to find that person to talk to in the first place, nothing's going to happen. The second thing I want to give you guys today are some templates to use and send out to clients and prospects before the appointment, right? So this is in between the time where they've become an opportunity and you actually show up on the appointment. So I'm going to give you some templates to use there. Very, very important. The templates are so important because they set up everything else. If you do this section right, before the listing appointment section,
it makes everything else so much easier.
It makes everything just fall into place.
It actually creates this systematic flow. It's a beautiful dance at that point.
The third thing we want to give you today are some scripts and templates to share during the appointment,
so that you close the appointment with a signed agreement and you walk out with that signed agreement electronically.
Well, the other thing I find, or I've observed, I should say, is that a listing appointment well executed produces more listing opportunities.
Well, it does, and it actually builds enough trust. So this is a huge thing, is that if you can execute a listing appointment really, really well, it builds so much trust with that seller that, number one, they will refer you to everybody they know. Number two is that if you build enough trust before they actually sign the agreement, or when they sign the agreement, it makes the whole listing process a lot easier, because then they'll trust you when you say, I need you to do all of these repairs, I need you to prepare the house this way, I need you to stage it, etc. It makes everything so much easier. I mean, all the way down to when you first get that first offer on the home and you're negotiating that. Chris, if you build trust during that listing appointment, it's so much easier to get done what you need.
One of my mentors, Brian Buffini, had shared with me that people are more likely to refer you while they're in transaction.
That is very true,
right? Because it's the biggest top of mind thing, and so whenever they run into people, they're like, "I'm moving, I'm selling," and then when they encounter somebody who is also thinking of moving, they speak your accolades if you've done it well. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about today are some closing strategies to get the signed agreement at the appointment.
So real quick, I wanted to share with everybody that Nagar said they want scripts and checklists. Alice said, I want to get the appointment and walk out with the listing. David wants to learn how to consistently get the listing. Jackie says, how to secure more listings, even if other agents are reaching out to the same owner. Man, I can't tell you the last time I didn't go on a listing appointment where I was competing with at least 7 people. So it's tough. Marketing materials for social media, boom. So a lot. There's just a lot. Everybody's.
So I was doing this, Gary, because it meant check. It's
check.
in there. We're going to cover it. So let's do this. Let's take a moment to introduce ourselves real quickly. But what I'd like to do while we're introducing ourselves is do a quick poll of our audience.
Okay.
So question that I have for you guys, because it will help us tailor today's presentation the best we can. How long have you been in the business?
Yeah, by the way, I added a fun one in here. So if you're brand new, let us know. 1 to 3 years, 3 to 10 years, 10 to 20. 20 plus is just a really long time. So that's what I put in there. So that means you've been around the block.
Been around the block. And so Let me introduce who we're going to be really learning from today.
Should we share our screen? Or?
Nah, yeah, they can see you just fine,
Okay.
Gary. I got the screen.
Jay Rogers says, I'm ancient. I'm not so sure about that.
So let me introduce the guy we're going to be learning from today. This is Gary Kreth. Gary is a listing and real estate business development expert. I mean, Gary has been selling real estate for over 21 years. He still sells real estate today. We have got listings on the market. He goes on listing appointments. He does all of it right now. So we're going to be learning from somebody who's still got a foot deep into the trenches, which is, I find, very important to be able to learn from people who are still active in the industry. But Gary, you've been recognized by Apple Computer, but here's what I think is most relevant for everybody today. At the peak of your listing career, you were going on 6 listing appointments every single week.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
I had to take one day off.
That's a lot of listing appointments to go on. So it is during that time where Gary really honed the exact process, the exact language. Everything that he does has been fine-tuned through just repetition, over and over and over again until he's got to what I would say it's perfected. He'd say he's still working on it, right?
I'm always working.
He's always working to improve it. Gary, during that time, you're also carrying, single-handedly over 50 listings at a time. So that's, that is who we're going to be learning from and why you're going to want to pay very close attention to the little tidbits of knowledge that drop out of his mouth today.
And this guy right here, this is Chris Scott. He's my partner here at the Paperless Agent. Chris, you have been helping realtors market and brand themselves and their real estate for almost 19 years now.
Yeah,
like he said earlier, Chris started his business, or he started his career in the real estate business working with Brian Buffini. You worked with him for 11 years. More recently, he ran the sales and marketing divisions for a company here in Austin that won the Inc. 500 winning company, like that award 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. And now Chris is helping me and our real estate team brand ourselves, brand and market our listings, and really get out there as a social media and an online expert with everything that we're doing here in the real estate biz. So while I'm out there working with the clients, he's helping market and brand and sell those listings. So that's who we're listening to today as well.
Well, so yeah, by the way, so we have our real estate team here in Austin, Texas. And yeah, if anybody has any referrals for the Austin, Texas area,
shameless plug.
All right,
real quick.
Let's give some feedback.
How
on that
long
poll.
you been in the biz? Brand new, we've got about 26%.
Excellent.
1 to 3 years, 24%. 3 to 10, 18%. By the way, you can see these poll results as well. 10 to 20 years, 19%, and a really long time means 20 plus years. 14%. That's really incredible. So welcome everybody here. As you can see, we have a very nice blend of experience.
I'm excited to see the people who are new and really who've been in here under 3 years. And I think you guys are going to benefit tremendously by getting some systems and structure to how you go about doing this. Now, what is really encouraging to me to see the people who've been in the business 10, 20, 30 years, and they are still improving their craft. And so because of that, Gary and I are going to dig deep today to give you the goods. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen because so many of the things that we're going to talk about today have a template or a tool that it's just going to, or a script that is going to help you to be able to see the screen to be able to respond to it. All right. So let me pull my screen up and we'll get started.
Excellent.
So Gary, just let me know when the screen is up on and being shared with everybody.
We're good.
All right, let's do this. So let's start off with some scripts to get listing appointments. I know that's what everybody's dying to do is like, for a lot of you, it's like, all right, great. I just need to be able to get the opportunities in the first place. And so I've got 2 scripts, but then we're going to immediately follow up. Actually, it's technically 3 scripts that we're going to share with you on this. And then I'm going to give you a little a tactic to make these scripts happen for you. So the first one, Gary, and you could talk about this. This is going to seem maybe like, well, what's this script? What are you talking about? Let me give you some context to this. One time I was sitting with Gary in the office and a client calls him. It wasn't a client that was active at that moment. And they're talking and they're like just shooting the breeze. Right. And then all of a sudden I hear Gary say, well, how long you been in that home? It's been like what, 6, 7 years. Well, have you been thinking of moving? And I was like, whoa, did he just out of the blue ask this person if they're thinking they're moving? I was like, well, that's pretty gutsy. And then, Gary had the conversation and I heard him say like, well, I'll follow up with you on that. And so I asked him, Gary, did you just ask your client, your person out of the blue if you're thinking of moving? And what did you say?
I said, of course, that's my job.
It's
my
job
it's
to
what
do
I
this.
do. But so many people, I think, in real estate is that we forget that we need to remind people that that's what we do, and they're expecting us to ask them about real estate.
So one of the most common times, and this will happen really, this will happen every time you go to a holiday party this year or to some kind of gathering or some kind of event, people will oftentimes come. What do they ask you, Gary? People who aren't in the business, what do they ask you?
How's the market? Every single time. Because they know I'm in real estate. They always it's almost like they feel that they need to ask that question.
Right. And so what do you usually tell them?
Well, what I don't say is it's great.
Oh.
What I say is, the market has been really interesting. It's been shifting a little bit lately, and these are what the market stats are in Austin right now. And I memorize what the stats, just one or two statistics, so that I can share with them my market knowledge.
Right. So right now, for example, you probably want to share, interest rates have gone up.
I would share, interest rates have gone up about 1/4 of a point. And so what that has done, along with the mid-year or midterm elections, is it's pausing the real estate market a little bit. So if you're looking at buying a house, right now is a great time because homes are staying on the market longer. And if you're thinking of selling, what's critical is that you need to do these things.
So at that point, you have the conversation, and
then I say, I'll always say, so yeah, if you're thinking of selling, you need to do these things. By the way, Chris, are you and Nicole thinking of selling your house?
Wow, you would just ask that up front, right?
Well, of course, because if they may have been thinking about it, they may have been talking about it. That may be actually what prompted the question, how's the market?
Gotcha. So this is an important one that it's okay. I think this is one of the things that I've observed is sometimes we're afraid to ask the question. We're afraid to ask the question. We're afraid to ask for the order. We're afraid to, because we don't want to seem pushy. It's like, that's the thing is we don't want to be like, hey, are you thinking of moving? But it's actually not, right?
It's not.
It's your job to know this.
It's my job to know this about my clients.
All right. So a big thing there, write this one down, take a screenshot. You're going to want to use this one. Another opportunity to be able to get listing appointments is by hosting open houses.
Yeah, but Chris, I hate open houses.
Why?
I love them, actually. But I think most of you are probably sitting there saying, Chris, I hate open houses.
Well, most people probably because nothing happens to them.
That's exactly right. Because, I think that here's the issue, Chris, is most of us who get into real estate are still being trained and educated in the old way of selling real estate. And in the old way, you would host open houses simply because it felt like that was an obligation to the seller. You felt like you had to.
Gotcha.
And the reality is that why do I and my brother, who's been in the business for a long time, why do we host open houses? Because we get business from it.
So how do you make business? I think what happens, the traditional experience is, maybe you don't promote it well, or you do have people coming in and then you try to talk to them or whatever, and they're just trying to get out of the house as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, because
right?
they don't want to be harassed by realtors. And another thing is realtors that I know who host open houses, they say, well, nobody signs in anymore. And I'm like, it's just because you're not asking the right questions.
Right. You have a experience where that listing on Jackson, where you partnered up with another agent, and she went up to people who were there, and instead of like engaging them, and she engaged them, but what does she do?
Well, what I teach is it's really critical to make valuable offers of help. Well, it was a hot August day in Austin, Texas. Bring that water back. And what she did is she went up to them and said, hey, it's a hot day. Would you like a bottle of water? And that was her intro and offer of help. And she came back all excited because they said yes. They accepted her offer. So she takes some water, and that was the end of the conversation. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. That is not what's going to happen here. So instead, what I did is I walk up, and I said something like this on the screen here. Hey, you know what? Thank you so much. My name is Gary Kreth. I'm the host here. By the way, I like to keep track of my marketing. Do you recall how you heard of this open house? And they said, sure, yeah, we actually received the postcard. I said, oh, well, that means you live in the neighborhood. Do you mind if I ask why are you thinking of moving? You know what they said? No.
Ooh.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
But instead of stopping there, a lot of people are like, oh, they're not moving. They're just here. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I said, fantastic. Are you just checking things out, curious about your neighbor's house? They said, no, actually, we have friends moving here from Houston, and we think this house might suit them. And I said, great. So then what I did is I made an additional offer of help to send them additional videos and photos to send to their friends. So I got their contact information, started building a relationship.
So not only did you build a relationship, you actually got an opportunity, as well. So it's like a twofer with that particular situation. But a lot of it is just asking the right questions that don't shut down to let them escape, but to open up the dialogue.
By the way, here's the biggest thing is by the way, I travel a lot. And every city I go into, my wife, she hates this sometimes, but I'm like, oh, open house. And so we stop and I get out and I go in and I don't tell them I'm a realtor.
Right.
I want to see what they're saying. And you know what they say is, hi, my home seller wanted everybody here to sign in. Would you mind signing in? So I'm like, sure, I'll sign in. And then they follow me around the house and ask me questions. And I'm like, this is not going well.
Yeah.
And then they say, did you like the house? I said, yeah, it's just not for me. And they're like, okay, thank you.
So let's do that how you would do it.
Okay. Well, so they come into the house,
right,
and I say, hey, thanks for coming on in. Take a look around. I'm not going to bug you. Let me know if you have any questions. That's it.
Okay. So
and let them go around, and then they come back, and I say, so what did you think of the house?
Yeah, it's not for me.
Yeah, you know what? That's not uncommon. By the way, I wanted to let you know that I took the liberty of pulling up every single house that's on the market in this surrounding area, and it's on my computer. So go ahead, take a look, and let me know if any of those suit your needs a little bit more. And so they go and they take a look, and they'll come back and say, yeah, you know, one of those might suit my needs or might not. And I say, you know what? No problem. By the way, after this open house, I'm going to be able to send you all of this information. What's the best email address for me to send that to?
Wow.
Then all of a sudden they're like, yeah.
Well, because you made an offer that's relevant, right?
Yep.
So what's happening is they're going through the open house, they're trying to get out because they're like, that's not the house for them. And right now they're not really thinking they want to talk to anybody because they think that you're trying to sell them the house.
That's exactly right. And I'm not trying to sell them the house. What I'm trying to do is make offers of help. And by the way, if this house is not for you,
which it probably statistically it's not.
Statistically it's not. I'm going to go find the house that is right for you.
Right. And if they live in the area and they're checking it out, trust me, they're not there to get decoration and design ideas.
No.
Nobody spends their weekend that way.
Yep.
They're there to get an assessment on what they think their home might be worth at some point in the future. And so same thing, you're just engaging that dialogue. Now, one of the things that people will, you mentioned this like with that one agent who stopped at the, you want the bottle of water. There's this.
Well, and this is the reason why we stop is we don't know what to say next.
Right. Or at the open house, they're like, this house isn't for me. Maybe you say, oh, yeah, what don't you like about it? But here's a magic phrase that you guys can use. And you can use this in person. You can use this on the telephone. You can use this magic phrase at any point in time. Because
I share this with my wife and she goes, oh, did you just magic phrase me?
This is a powerful phrase because it unlocks the motivation. It reveals to us their motivation.
Right.
Which they're not going to just throw out there unless you use a phrase like this. And the phrase is so simple. It's just like a couple of words.
Tell me more about that. So what we're doing is we're actually asking questions and then they answer. And then we just follow up with this question. Oh gosh, Chris, that seems really important to you. Would you mind sharing more about that with me? Just tell me more about that. Expound on that and keep going. And what that does is all of a sudden they're like, oh, he actually cares and he listens. And then they start sharing. So,
for example, let's go back to that open house. Someone says, I'm not, this really isn't the house for me. And you're like, okay, well, I've got all the homes set up. And then at that point, they might say something along the lines, well, you might even follow up with, do you have an idea of what you're looking for? And they say, well, I'm looking for something.
Looking for this. And then I say, oh gosh, well, can you tell me more about that? And then they're like, oh, well, nobody's asked me that question. Well, sure, yeah. We're looking for a house of this size because my wife is pregnant and we're expecting twins. I'm like, oh, gosh. So tell me a little bit about where you're living now and why that house doesn't work for you. And then they share that. And I'm like, oh, well, tell me more about that.
So you just engage with this tool, right? This is a script to engage because even let's go back to the are you thinking of moving script, right? At that point, if they say yes, a lot of people might not know what to do next. They're like, they're thinking of moving. Well, if you need any help, let me know. But instead, you would say,
oh, yeah, sure. Can you tell me a little bit about why you're thinking about moving?
Right. Like, well, tell me more about that. And so that way, you all of a sudden, you get more context. They start opening up. And it's open-ended. So you can just keep following up with, hey, tell me a little bit more about that. Well, why is that important to you? Now, this can be used very effectively with a database follow-up tactic.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to share with you guys a little tactic that we use that you should be using. This is something that is it's an essential, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is an essential thing. It is one of those things that if you're not doing this, don't wait till after we're done.
Wait till after this presentation.
And then go do this.
But you got to do this
because this will produce for you. This will produce for you your immediate opportunity. So here's what the tactic is. You send out useful real estate information, and then you follow up. You send out useful information, and you follow up. Here's what it looks like.
Hold on. You said useful real estate information.
Oh, yeah. Don't send your recipes out and follow up. Don't send your favorite turkey, your smoked turkey recipe or your favorite, I was thinking about maybe deep frying the turkey. Don't send me your deep frying turkey. I already got that online. There's blogs about it. Rather, send some useful real estate information. Here's an example of one. This is actually one that we provide our clients. It's called, it's just a simple real estate report.
Mm-hmm.
You literally just email this out to the people that you know or that people that know you. And this one is, how's the market? We were talking about how's the market? How's the market? And it talks about what's happening in the real estate market. Just a little simple report that you can send out. By the way, they probably won't read it. They'll read the headline. They'll get the gist of it, and they'll say, oh, that was useful.
Yeah, but what's the whole point in sending this out?
Because it gives you a context for a conversation to follow up with them. You've sent them something. Now you get to say, hey, I sent you that thing. Did you have any questions? And we'll get more onto that in just a second. Here's another example of something that we've sent out.
Mm-hmm.
The Home Buyer's Guide to Getting Mortgage Ready, right? So you're sending this information out. By the way, this not only helps you have a conversation with people that know you to see if they're thinking of moving, this is a tool to get yourself referred. Right. Because it reminds people, oh, Gary sells real estate. Oh, yeah, he sends this useful information.
It's a referral tool.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. How often do we need a reminder of a referral tool to give people so that they can refer us to everybody else?
Here's another example, how to amp up the resale value of a home. So you just send this out to everybody. You're like, well, they're not thinking of selling. I know, but you're sending this out because it's real estate information. It demonstrates your expertise. It demonstrates your authority. And it allows you to do this.
It allows you to follow up either via phone or text message or Facebook Messenger or something.
So you just follow up and say, hey, I sent this information out. Did you have any questions? And then as you catch up with them, chit chat, get to know them maybe better, maybe use the tell me more about that a couple of times in there, you close with this, right? If you have friends or family members who could benefit from my Move Up Buyer program, please tell them about it. Because of you, I'd be happy to make this available to them. Now, you get to determine what's in your Move Up Buyer program. We have what we offer. You guys will want to decide what you want to offer as part of your Move Up Buyer program. It doesn't have to be a thing. It could be a service. It could be some kind of benefit that you provide. Your Move Up Buyer program, let's say you're working in a luxury area. Your Move Up Buyer program might include taking a limousine tour to go look at homes. I mean, I don't know. You come up with, I remember back when real estate investing was very, very hot and like during the recession, people actually took like bus tours.
Yeah, I'd get a bus and load people up on that thing.
So you create a program to talk about so that they have a thing to refer. Now, I think this is how you get those opportunities, because you need to have the conversations. It's a myth that you can just post something on social media and all of a sudden people are going to come out of the woodwork to work with you. You have to have a systematic/programmatic process that cultivates conversations, that cultivates follow-up, that cultivates the opportunity for you to be able to go in there, say, tell me more about that. Have you been thinking of moving? And then drop the little referral line. And that is how you'll find right now opportunities through this process, but you'll also start cultivating the opportunities that come up in 60, 90, and 120 days. But we got to move on, Gary. We're almost halfway through. We got to talk about what to do before the appointment.
This is so critical. So before the appointment, number one is you must schedule an initial phone consultation. By the way, I'm going to ask everybody here, just go to the chat section. Let me know, how long do you spend on the phone with somebody before you go on a listing appointment? How much time are you spending on that initial phone consultation? Just go to the chat section. Let me know. I'm really curious. As we talk about what's
an initial consultation?
An initial consultation is a phone consultation where I'm going to ask questions for two reasons. Number one is I want to know as much as I can about that prospective client so that I know how to take care of them. And number two, I'm going to ask them the right number of questions and the right questions so that I build trust with them. So when I walk through the door at that appointment, they already trust me more. Chris alluded to this earlier, this is the time to build trust with them before you show up, because that's going to help you secure. So a lot of people are saying about 20 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour for the initial phone consult. Paige says as much as possible. Good answer. Mariah says as much time as they will give me. So I'm looking at 45 minutes.
Really? That's a long time.
It is a long time. However, when you use the magic phrase, can you tell me more about that? And you follow my template of making sure that you're building trust, you're asking the right questions, and you're asking the right number of questions, it will actually take 30 to 45 minutes.
So 2 key things here. First is when you're doing the initial consultation, you get to show up differently at the listing appointment because you're armed with knowledge. You're also armed with having more rapport built up because of the conversation and time spent. But that information allows you to prepare better and show up differently than everybody else.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, the other thing you mentioned was then the building trust. So you structure the conversation to ask, easy questions like, hey, how'd you hear about me, so on and so forth, to more, and it builds trust. And as you build trust, you go deeper and you get into like, what are your concerns and objections?
Yeah, so I'll share with everybody, I've been studying sales mastery for 20 years. And what I've done is I've created my email templates or my phone script templates. I have buyer templates, listing templates, initial consultation templates. I have templates for everything that I do, but they're all designed in a way to build trust through this sales cycle. Now, in addition to that, Chris, after the phone consultation, I'm not done.
What do you do?
Well, I send out information about me and about the firm and what we do to market and sell our homes before I even go on the listing appointment.
And so we send out our property marketing plan,
right,
which is just simply a document that has everything that we're going to do to market the home. You send that out. Are you worried about them giving it to somebody else?
I'm not worried about them giving it to another agent simply because, number one, they don't. And number two, even if they did, the other agent will look at it and go, oh, wow, that's a lot of stuff. I can't execute on this.
So this, so when you send the marketing plan before you show up, this is what I talked about earlier about thwarting the competition. Just simply because they receive this document from you, they look at you and everybody else differently because of this.
Yeah. So here's what this document does. This is about a 10-page document that outlines absolutely everything that we do to market and sell their house. And like Chris said, the reason we send this is multiple reasons. Number one is I need them to see what we do differently. Number two, I need this document in their hands so it starts building trust. And number three, I need them to start actually judging my competition, who they're meeting with before they meet with me. I need them judging them against what we do. And so when my competition shows up and they don't provide a document like this, when my competition shows up and they don't talk about all these things, what this does is it gives me that competitive advantage. So when I walk through the door, I'm already way ahead of everybody else.
Another thing we send out is what we call our client welcome kit.
Yeah, this client welcome kit is really, really valuable because what it does is it really introduces my practice, my firm, my team, my marketing skills, etc., to the potential seller before I even meet with them.
Well, this is a very effective tool. You can actually send this to prospects, before you even have the opportunity because it educates them on what you do. You can send this to people that even if you're not in transaction with them, and say, hey, this time of year, people are oftentimes thinking of making a move. And so I wanted to give you guys a tool to be able to refer me if you encounter somebody who is thinking of moving. And so go ahead and provide them my updated client welcome kit. And here's what's included in this. And for us, this is just a simple PDF document, right? But a couple of things that you want to make sure inside your client welcome kit that you send. And this is a separate document. So when we look at what you send out, it's basically our pre-listing packet, right? So they're going to get that property marketing plan, and then they're going to get this client welcome kit. And so one of the things you want to do is make sure you, in your client welcome kit, provide useful tips and expert advice, because you're trying to show them that you have expertise. It's a key selling point.
Yes, it is.
Right? They want to work with somebody who knows what they're doing, right? Because they don't know what they're doing. That's why they want us to work with them. And so expertise is a way to show them the results in advance.
Yeah, and one thing I love here is this is what we call an assumptive close. And what we're doing is, you see it says very specifically client welcome kit. Are they a client yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not until I got the signed agreement.
That's right, but I'm going to treat them as if they are. So I'm assuming that they're going to work with me, which actually psychologically in their subconscious starts building that language into it is, oh, Gary just sent me their client welcome kit.
I'm a client.
I must be a client.
Right.
Yeah.
So Provide useful tips, show the advantages of working with you, right? And I'll give you I'm going to show you guys our template that we use for this. Make specific offers of help. What you want to do is make sure that they know how to engage us. So if you just educate, but then you don't make an offer of help, they don't know how to interact and engage. Just like that open house deal where unless you make a relevant offer where they can engage us, they're going to decline us, right?
That's right.
And another thing, very, very important here is the last component is to set expectations on your communication and the experience that they're going to have. So a lot of you probably like, okay, I don't quite get it. So let me just share with you our client welcome kit. And there's a little bit about us, right? So you just have a little bit about you in there. You could put your bio there. You can put whatever you want in there, but you want to educate them on who you are, right? Then provide, I talked about having the expert tips and advice.
Right.
So we have it in the form of videos. You don't have to do video. Ours happen to be in video.
You can have blog articles.
Blog articles. Heck,
you can link back to NAR reports.
you could link to NAR reports if you want to like do it quickly. Here's where you will want to spend some time is give them some of the advantages of working with you so that they know how they're going to benefit. And this is the specific offers of help where thinking of buying a home, sign up for my Home Buyer Direct Access program, and it outlines what it is. This gives them a specific and concrete way for them to engage us, right? Yep. Now, they may already be engaging us because we're sending this as a pre-listing packet, but now if they want to refer somebody, that person has a way to engage us as well.
Plus, it's really important to share with somebody everything that you offer in real estate. Most people will think, oh, well, they just help people buy homes. No, we need to educate them on everything that we offer.
So we also have a section for selling homes and selling home resources, an offer of help to get a home value analysis. Here's where we set up our communication that goes out every month. Remember, I talked about sending out a monthly report. If you let them know in advance that you're going to send it out, something they now know, like, oh, Gary was sending this to me, and they'll forget about it until they get the first one. They're like, oh, Gary's sending this to me, right? So, and then you just go through and you provide all the different ways, give them a way to contact you, and that's it. Now, by the way, I'm going to share with you how you can get this template, which we normally sell for $597. I'm going to share with you how you can get this as a gift from us, but I don't want to talk about it right now because we're not done training.
No, we still got another 25 minutes to go. So
maybe longer. So I've got now a script to take control of the listing appointment. So assuming, we've gotten the opportunity, we've done our initial consultation, we've sent out the pre-listing packet, we show up to the front door.
Yeah, we show up to the front door, and here is actually what normally happens, Chris. This is what we as agents do because this is what we think we should do.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, Chris. How are you? Thank you so much for having me at your house today.
Awesome. Would you like to come in and take a tour?
Yeah, sounds great. So that's what most agents do.
What's wrong with that?
Well, number one, it's what most agents do. And what I know to be true is that if I want to differentiate myself, I must do everything differently. So number one, I'm not going to do what other agents are doing. I'm not going to say, yeah, that sounds great. In addition to that, I just gave control of the appointment to you.
Oh.
I no longer am, it's not my appointment anymore.
Who's the expert here, right?
I hope it's me. So instead, maybe you can do this.
Hello, Gary.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much for having me at your home today.
Would you like to come in and take a tour of the house?
Yeah, Chris, I cannot wait to inspect your home with you. And first, we have some information to review. Would you mind if we sit down at your kitchen table and chat?
Oh, so you just reprogrammed them.
I did.
Into a whole different circumstance.
But not just the whole different circumstance, I also changed all of their language. So they're thinking like, they don't know what's going to happen during an appointment. So they're like, oh, I should invite this person in and give them a tour.
Right. It's a social gathering.
Yeah. No. This is a professional meeting. And instead, I take back control. I say yes. I never say no. Don't say no to your client. You also heard I didn't say, no, I don't want to tour your house. I said, yes, I can't wait to inspect your home with you. So I'm changing the language, and then I'm taking control, and I'm shifting up the entire appointment.
Gotcha. And so then we
sit down.
Then you sit down, and what do you do?
Well, what we do is we review all of my notes from that initial consultation.
Gotcha.
So you'll remember I have a template of everything that I asked during that initial consultation. Then the number one thing that I know my clients want from me is they want to feel heard.
So you're showing them.
So I show them. So what do? I have my iPad around here somewhere. I take my iPad and I set it up next to them, and we sit down at the kitchen table and we review the answers that they gave me during that initial consultation. This is showing them that I listened to them. They were heard by me. And by the way, differentiation. Remember, we're differentiating ourselves from our competition. Nobody else is doing this.
Well, this is very effective. You did this before technology. You did this a little bit differently.
I did.
You had a letter that you sent
Yeah,
out.
but I used to send out a letter as soon as I got off the phone. I typed up my notes on Microsoft Word and my letter, and I printed it out and signed it, and I mailed it to them. And it was called the "This is what I heard you say" letter. And so then what happens is when I show up to the house, they had a copy of the "This is what I heard you say" letter. They have a copy of the marketing plan. And I show up and they have it right there. They have it.
They're ready
to do business, and they see it, and yep, this is everything. And but we would review it together. Now we do it on the iPad.
Right. So now you're going through, you review that, and then we said that we can't wait to inspect the home or analyze the home, or
whatever term you want.
But then you got to go do that, right? So how do you do that?
So after the review, then we get up, and I use Evernote, by the way, and I have a listing appointment template that you see here on the screen, and we walk around and I document everything about their house via photos, audio. I actually use hands-free note-taking. So, we're going through, and what I do is I'll say something like this. So, Chris, thank you so much for reviewing everything during our initial consultation. Now I think it's time that we inspect or assess your home together. If you don't mind, I'm going to take my iPad. I'm going to take a lot of photos. I'm going to document a lot of notes. And what I'd love for you to do is walk next to me as we walk through your house. I want you to guide me through your house and share with me everything that you love about your home and the lifestyle that each room affords you. In addition to that, as we go through, if there are any things that you think maybe, Gary, I should do some repairs here, or maybe we should do some updates in this room, don't forget to point those out too.
So this part of your process, I think I just want to make a really important point, is one of the most common objections that we're going to encounter is at some point they feel like is getting into the pricing conversation, right? So they're going to have an idea of what they think their home is worth.
Of course.
And by the way, you already know what they think because you asked during the initial consultation. So let's say you do your homework and you're like, this home is not worth what they think it is, right? So in order for us to build the trust so that when we have the pricing conversation, that they feel like we're just not walking in and just spouting off numbers, is we must really spend the time to assess that home so that they can trust our assessment.
Absolutely. And what better way to assess the home than to do it with them and ask them a lot of questions.
Another thing that I know, this is just a little side tip for you guys, is whenever you encounter a place that needs repairs or something, how do you do it?
Well, so number one, let's assume that this is my iPad. I mean, if I don't have my iPad, I'll have my phone with me. What I'll do is I'll walk up to whatever the issue may be, that massive blood stain on the carpet.
Wine stain.
Okay, wine stain. Sorry, right. And I'll walk up and I'll take my phone or my iPad and I'll take a picture of it. And at the same time I'm taking a picture, I'll say, huh.
And they probably stop. Do you think I should fix that, Gary?
I would.
Oh, you did a little jiu-jitsu there. You didn't say, yo, you need to clean that mess up.
No. Because here's the thing. We never want to reject their house to them. They love their house. They think it's worth a lot more than we probably do. So what we do is we let them bring up the fact that it needs to be repaired. And the only thing we do is we walk up there and we go, huh.
So then they are the one who's fixing that problem, right?
Yep.
Because then it's their suggestion. It's almost like their suggestion. Hey, should I fix that?
Oh, yeah, I would.
Excellent. Yep. Okay. So we inspect the home.
Yep.
And we've documented it.
Right.
We've got all of our notes. And then we're going to sit down.
We're going to sit down, and now it's time to review our marketing proposal.
So our vernacular would be, we're going to take a look at the listing presentation, right? But you don't call it that.
I don't call it that. I differentiate myself in everything, including the language around the marketing proposal. It's not a listing presentation. They don't know what a listing presentation is. It is a marketing proposal. And so this is a script to show them with them.
Well,
what's in it for me?
So in order to get into this script, I want to, and we're going to be sharing some slides from Gary's listing presentation. So I hope you guys are excited to see some of the actual tactical tools that we're using while we're on appointment. because this next script really requires them to see the slide, because the slide that from your listing presentation, it sets this conversation up. And I'm just going to pull it up here. And can you tell everybody what we're looking at and then how you talk about this?
Sure. So number one is our clients have two primary questions of us. Number one is, how much can you sell my house for and how quickly? And then the third one after that is, well, what are you going to do that? Right. But those are the two questions that they want to know the answer to, is how quickly can you sell my house and for how much? So we need to address that. We need to answer that before they ask, by the way.
Right.
And so what we do is we review this during the marketing proposal. And so what the best way to do this is to compare your firm, your brokerage, your team against the average in your marketplace. So you see here, it's Kreth Partners versus Austin Real Estate. And so what I do, a little tip, is at the beginning of every single slide, ask a question. And this is a slide from my listing presentation or my marketing proposal. And I would ask this question. So Chris, do you like statistics?
They don't lie.
They don't lie. And you know what? The reason I love statistics is it always helps me measure exactly how well my firm is outperforming the average Austin realtor. So let's take a look at that and what that means to you. Remember the WIFM. We have to get back to what it means to them. So what I would do is I would say, so Chris, we'll review this. On average, were you aware that on average, a realtor is selling a house in Austin, by the way, these numbers are totally made up, in 48 days? Now that's not bad. Never slam your other realtors. Don't slam them. Just say, that's not bad.
Yeah.
However, Chris, when you hire me and my firm, on average, we're selling homes in 16 days. Now, that's really incredible, isn't it?
That's awesome.
That is. Now, additionally, on average in Austin, an average realtor is selling a house for 98.25% of their ask price. Now, that's not bad. That's really good. However, when you hire us, on average, we're selling homes for 101.7% of our ask price. Now that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
By the way, when you hire my firm to sell your house, on average, what that means, if we sell your house for $500,000, on average, we're going to earn you $17,250 more than the average realtor. Now, I don't know about you, Chris, that's a lot of money.
So what you did there is you made a statistic relevant
to them
and concrete to them.
Yep.
Because if you sit, going back to this slide, the percentage points are just like, oh, I guess that's better, right? And that's good. And then you could calculate that to be 3.45% using those numbers.
But they still don't know what that means to them.
Right. But you calculate the number, show it to them, and park it. So this is
that's the key, is I park it. I make sure that my screen does not turn off. That's a big key. You can actually go into your settings and make sure your screen does not turn off. And then you set the phone between you for the rest of the appointment. That's the key.
Gotcha. All right. So what this does is it makes a bold promise.
It makes a bold promise. Well, it actually does so many things, Chris. Number one, you saw I made an assumption that their house is worth $500,000.
Oh.
Remember. And do I know what you think your house is worth?
In the initial consultation, we found out that they thought it was worth $550.
Exactly. What I'm doing is I'm bringing a dose of reality and I'm parking it right here, and it just plants that number in their head. Number two is I actually show them 17,250 reasons why they should hire me over somebody else.
So now all of a sudden, everything's coming into like a concrete, but you haven't addressed what the price is yet. Right? So we haven't gotten to the pricing strategy or the pricing conversation. But what we have done is be able to show them a number that means something to them, while at the same time planting the seed of, well, maybe I can be fluid on the price, right? And this whole time we're building trust. We're building trust. We're building trust. Now, as we make this promise, there's an important thing that we have to do, which is you made this promise like, hey, we're going to sell it faster and for more money. They may not ask this question, but they're left to wonder how are you going to do that?
How are you going to outperform the market this well and sell my house that quickly on average for that much money?
Well, I think there's a fear that they have, that all of our prospects and clients have, which is all we're going to do is put a sign in the yard, put it in the MLS, and pray that thing sells, right? Like that's the concern and the fear is that we're all the same. We all of us are the same. We're not differentiated at all, and we're just going to do the same activity. So why not just try to get the lowest, commission, or basically pay the lowest fees for that? So important to know that according to the National Association of Realtors, every year they do a study of home buyers and sellers, and they ask home sellers, what's the number one thing, if you had to prioritize, what's the top most important factor or service that you want your agent to do, and prioritize. The number one thing they want us to do is to market that home for them.
Year after year, it says they want us to help market their home to potential buyers.
Right, and so we got to educate them. We don't necessarily need to share this, but we can share with them about how we're going to do it and why we do it.
Yeah, and so this is a great slide. You can get this from the National Association of Realtors. Every year they produce a report like this and share with them that, hey, Chris, were you aware that last year, on average, over 95% of home buyers started their home search online? And by the way, you always source. According to the National Association of Realtors, this is what happened.
A little credibility factor there.
Yeah.
Expert.
And all of a sudden they believe I'm an expert because I know the statistics and I'm referencing the National Association of Realtors.
You don't even have to remember it, including your listing presentation. So you're like, oh yeah, it was 95%.
Yep. And then I would also follow up by saying, and also on this next slide, over half of home buyers found the home that they wanted to purchase or that they ended up purchasing online.
Gotcha.
So can you see how critical it is that when you hire my firm, and this is a great statistic, can you see why it's critical to hire a firm using advanced online marketing strategies? So I'm setting them up for, oh my gosh, yes, I see I have to hire somebody who's doing these things. Then all of a sudden, what do? We show them how we do that for them.
Right. And so this is, again, from your listing presentation.
Right.
Now, a couple of things. One, we've provided them with our property marketing plan at the, before we've even shown up on the appointment, right? And so, they probably just scanned it, perused it, but now you're going to spend a little bit of time talking about it during the appointment. And so I pulled a few slides that just show, so they can see this is what we do, right? Now, how do you talk about this stuff?
So number one is that, remember, a tip is that begin the conversation on every slide with a question. So what I might say here is say, so Chris, were you aware that Apple Computers started a pre-launch campaign to sell the Apple Watch 18 months before you could actually buy it in the store?
Wow.
That's a long time.
Yes.
Well, Chris, just like Apple, when you hire my firm, we have a pre-launch campaign to make sure that we advertise your house to seed the market before and as soon as it hits the market. And then I explain why that is and what's in it for them.
So, but we don't just stop there. We talk about all the different places that we're going to market the home, right? We talk about the social media component. And so these are just a few of the slides from the listing presentation, but it allows you to address each one of those points, right? You're able to address, here's how we're going to market, here's the campaign. They're already familiar with the property marketing plan, and you can talk about what is it that we're going to do. And it really does beg the question, what are you telling your clients about how you market listings and about how you market them online? Now, before we get into the closing strategies, because we've done all this setup, and really at this point, what's next is that we do the closing strategy, which is really, it's going to hit on the price, right? So like, how do we handle that pricing conversation?
Oh boy, this is a big one.
Right, but I wanted to let everybody know that we do have our listing presentation template available. We'll talk more about that later during today's presentation. But if that's something you're interested in, I'm going to share with you our special offer on how you can get this as a gift without paying the price of $967. Now, remember, like I said, as you're talking about it, you want to use that property marketing plan that we sent out before we showed up on the listing appointment to document everything that we're going to do. Now, some people will read it, some people won't. Some people who read it won't know what you're talking about, and that's why you need to address it during your listing appointment. But this tool here, combined with the conversation, shows the advantage in working with you and how you produce that result that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, this is where the proof is in the pudding. And like Chris said, man, getting this to them before the listing appointment, discussing it during the listing appointment just sets you up for a competitive advantage, differentiation, and they're going to hire you.
So let's talk a little bit about closing strategies as well as handling objections. I mean, there's like probably the three of the most common, and I don't know which one you guys hear, but will you discount your commission? That's a big one. I think my home is worth more. or alternatively, so-and-so said they would list it for more, right?
Yep.
Or, hey, I'm not sure if I'm ready to sell right now.
Yeah, and so here's the thing is that so many people teach about overcoming objections. You know what I like to teach about, Chris?
What's that?
It's how to not even get objections. And what we do is we handle the client's concerns before they become objections.
Gotcha.
Because once they become objections, boy, then you have to backpedal and actually overcome it, and you have to sell them on to why it should not be an objection. Instead, handle that concern beforehand.
So, back to your listing presentation, Gary.
Yes.
So one of the first slides that are in the listing presentation is to explain the process, because part of this is setting expectations.
Yeah. So number one, if you can educate your prospective client about what's going to happen during your appointment, number one, it removes any fear that they have about the appointment. It builds trust, because if you tell them what's about to happen and then you make it happen, that's instant trust building. In addition to that, you preemptively set them up for the closing. Gotcha. So what I'll say is, so Chris, here's our process. These are the steps or the phases that we're going to go through today. And by the way, if at the end of our time together today, if you and I both agree that we're a good fit together, what we'll do is we'll review my marketing agreement. We'll both sign it electronically so I can get to work for you.
So what you're doing is, remember we talked about that assumptive close, that when we were sending out the client welcome kit, is again, we're setting up at the beginning of the appointment that the end of the appointment is going to go smoothly.
Absolutely.
Which is the assumptive close.
Yep.
Now, a big sticking point for people is the price.
Yes.
I actually, in working with agents less than 3-5 years in the business, what they've told me is that this is a point of concern, is how do I deal with this pricing thing?
So here's the thing is most clients will ask, well, what do you think my home is worth? I never answer that question.
No?
Because what I think the home is worth is not relevant. What a potential buyer is willing to pay for their home, that is what is relevant. And so what we do is we have to educate them on the dangers of overpricing a house.
And I think what's powerful about how you've structured this is, instead of saying, let's talk about the price, is you're talking about a pricing strategy.
Yes.
Right. And so that's different. That's interpreted differently, right? Because whatever the price is, there's going to be a strategy associated in bringing that home to the market, with bringing that price to the market. But you take some time to let them know about some of the common mistakes when it comes to pricing strategies, because pricing it high is a pricing strategy, pricing it low is a pricing strategy. So how do you, this is another slide from your listing presentation, how do you talk about this?
Well, I ask questions. So number one, I'll say something like this. Chris, have you ever looked online at houses? And yeah, all the time, right? You ever look at some houses and you're like, oh my gosh, that is way overpriced. Would you ever go see those houses?
No.
Oh, no. And that is the danger. That is what we call pricing your house out of the market. So if we look at our screen here, Chris, all of these houses with a red X through it, these are the homes that are priced out of the market. The danger in grossly overpricing a house is exactly what you just said. You're not going to get home buyers to go in and see that house.
Gotcha.
Now, we do not want to do that with your home, do we?
No.
Absolutely not. Now, in looking at houses online or going into open houses, have you ever looked at houses and say, yeah, it's a nice house, but gosh, you know what? That's a little overpriced.
For how it's prepared.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all of a sudden, for how it's prepared, it's a little overpriced. If you were to make an offer on that house, your strategy would probably to lowball, to undercut that price significantly so that you can get them to move a lot on that price. Now, I'll tell you this, Chris, we don't want to do that with your house, and here's why. Because statistically speaking, your house will sell for less money if we overprice your home coming out of the gate. So instead, what we need to do is make sure that your house is prepared appropriately for the price that we're going to request.
So, because if they put it in that limbo land area, that's where you see people chasing the price down.
That's absolutely, that's where you see reduction, and then finally the house sells.
Gotcha. Or
comes off the market. But when it does sell, it actually sells for less than what we could have sold your house for had we priced and promoted and prepared the house properly in the beginning.
So now you educate them on the pricing strategy. How do you go about talking about the price itself?
So what we do is I say something like this. I say, and so by the way, Chris, I have done hours of research. on what buyers are paying for similar homes to yours. Now, we can go line by line, photo by photo of every single one of those houses. We can look at the statistics. That'll take about 20 to 30 minutes. Or I can just tell you what the research says.
Which one do they usually go with?
They always say, no, just tell me. And here's why. I've already built enough trust with them through the whole pre-consultation, so where I'm having the phone consultation, all the way through the listing presentation to this point. So what do? They trust me. And when I say, my research says that a buyer is willing to pay X amount for your house. Now, what's more important to you is let's take a look at the net sheet and how much money, if we sell your house at that price, how much money you can expect to hit your pocket.
Excellent. So here's what I want to do. I want to pause for a second because I want to ask everybody if they want the templates from today's training.
Well, I already know that answer because I've
sure
had a lot of people, but go to the chat section, let us know if you want that client welcome kit, if you want that listing presentation template, or as we call it now, the marketing proposal template. Right. If you want those, let us know because Chris is going to talk about how you can get those.
I'm going to talk about how you can get these as gifts. All right. So here's the deal. You can get, and these are downloadable templates. You can get a copy of these templates when you join our club. Now, let me tell you what's in our club so you know what you're joining to get these templates as gifts. When you join our club, you're going to get a digital marketing campaign every single month to ramp up a steady stream of leads. You're going to get prospecting letters, emails, social media posts. Let me share with you a recent campaign. Actually, we had shared this one earlier on. Every month you'll get a newsletter. There's a copy of a recent one that we shared with our clients. There's a front page, there's a back page. You even get a cover email or a cover letter if you print it out and send it out. You'll be able to attach to that report so that you can send this out to the people that you know. You'll get a blog post. You'll get other social media posts like for Facebook. You're going to get Instagram posts, Pinterest posts. We even give you a phone script that you can use to be able to initiate that dialogue so that you can start getting more listing opportunities. In addition to getting a monthly campaign, we're going to give you a marketing website. This is a light website. That's a profile website that we set up for you, and it's just an easy way for people to find you online. It also has things like landing pages, and perhaps if people want to see it later on, I'll show an example of what your website looks like, but it's super simple. It's just to help it's to make it easier for your clients to find you online. And by the way, if you already have a website, that's okay. It's not meant to compete against it or to replace it. It's just meant to make it easier for your clients to find you online. When you join our club, you're going to get hundreds of downloadable tools, templates, and resources, saving them countless hours. Gary, I don't know, I'm having a hard time saying that for some reason. For example, we talked about your listing presentation templates, like the initial consultation template or the template that you use to inspect the home. And so included with those are these templates for you to implement the processes.
Absolutely. We're going to give you absolutely everything that we talked about today.
We also included with the club is our training library where there's hundreds of topics and solutions. So we cover more information on listing appointments, Facebook advertising, social media marketing, and even how to take your entire practice online and go digital. You'll get access to Gary and myself on live member training sessions. We do them twice a month where you can get your questions answered. And when you can show up, ask questions, we'll typically cover a topic to help organize the what's working in our real estate practice, we're going to share with you guys. And so whatever's working in our practice, we're going to share with you. And that's what we're going to cover. It also gives you an opportunity to be able to ask us questions. Now you can join our club and get those templates for only $67 a month, right? So when you join our club today, you'll get those templates, you'll get access to all those club resources. And if you're not sure if it's for you, don't worry. You can easily cancel online, hassle-free, with no questions asked. There's no contract. There's no commitment. Now, when you sign up today, when you sign up right now, I'm going to even throw in an additional template that you're going to get as a bonus gift, and it's our property marketing plan. This is a template for you to modify, for you to make your own. You'll be able to go in, add in the things that you're doing that we didn't include, take out the things that we're doing that you're not. If nothing else, what this is going to do, this 10-page document is going to jumpstart. Here's all the things that I can do, and it will save you a tremendous amount of time in putting this together.
Well, and I will tell you something real quick, is that this 8-week marketing plan secured me a $900,000 listing that I probably would not have gotten if I had not shared this with them.
Because he followed up and said, why'd you hire me? And they said, because of that plan.
You got it.
I wanted to share a quick client report, Gary, and it's from Teresa.
Yep.
And Teresa says, I want to say a huge thank you to the Paperless Agent team. Thank you, Gary, Jordan, and Chris, and the whole team behind the scenes. We actually tripled our income in 2017 over 2016. We joined Paperless Agent in December of 2016. They sold over $9 million, all because they followed the Paperless Agent plan. They started doing open houses again. They started following the sales activities. They'd been with another office for 13 years and never had that level of marketing material.
That is incredible.
And so,
tripled their business.
Sign up so that you can get an experience like Teresa, where you can start implementing these things and getting better results. Now, Gary, I know we want to spend a lot of time during Q&A, but I want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to take advantage of
Well, this
offer.
is good because Allison is saying, how much is the membership?
$67 a month. You're going to get Gary's listing presentation template. It's in PowerPoint. It's in Keynote. You're going to get our client welcome kit template, also in PowerPoint and Keynote, and even a copy of our 8-week marketing plan, which is in Pages and Microsoft Word. So you can edit it and make these your own, because you're going to want to put your own branding. You're going to want to make them styled after yourself. But here's the thing. It allows you to have these resources, right? These tools to be able to get more listing appointments, to be able to close more listing appointments.
And walk out of the house with that listing agreement signed. That's the whole key here. But it's not just about that. Like Chris said, we're going to teach you in the program, in our club, we're going to teach you absolutely everything that we are doing to market ourselves, to promote ourselves, to generate leads, to convert them, to close them, to sign the agreement. So what you need to do is I pop this up into your chat section. There's a blue button. It says Join Club Now. Click on that button. What that button is going to do is it's going to open up a page, and you just fill out your information real quick. By the way, do it right now before we get to Q&A so you can pay attention during Q&A. And then what's going to happen, Candy says, do you get the scripts? Yes, you get all of these scripts. What's going to happen is when you sign up, you're going to get an email instantly. And that email is going to hit your inbox, and it's going to show you how to access everything that we just shared with you. Now, for whatever reason, if it doesn't show up in your inbox instantly, go check your spam folder, because it's probably hanging out in there. And if you're using Gmail, it very likely may be in your promotions tab. But that email is going to be there. Worst case scenario, shoot us an email at support@thepaperlessagent.com, and our team will help get you your login information. And with that, Chris, we have a lot of questions to get to.
Let's do it.
And so why don't we head on over, keep your questions coming. We're going to go through Q&A, but I did want everybody to have the opportunity to sign up right now. First question is from Christine. How long is the monthly commitment of $67 for?
There's no contract. There's no commitment. So it's month to month. You can cancel anytime, online, hassle-free.
Yep, you got it. Next question is, Diana said, is this all American content? I'm in Ontario, Canada. Actually, Diana, we have about 12 or 15% of our club members are in Canada. So in the months, which may be like 2 times a year, where it is specific, where the marketing emails are specific to the US, what we do is we actually create a Canadian version, and we make sure that you have access to that.
For example, the one that went out for October was this, How's the Market? So we had to create a second version for our Canadian clients because the stats were different, right? Yep. So we wanted to make sure that when we're talking about how's the market, we're talking about the right market.
Yep. Randy is looking to see the agent website that they get. So would you pull that up for Randy?
I'll pull that up.
I'm sure a lot of other people want to see the website. What we're talking about is you get a marketing website when you join our Paperless Agent Club.
So check this out. I'm actually going to do it. One of the reasons why we want to have these profile type
You make
sites,
me nervous every time you do this.
I make myself nervous. So I'm going to go Google Gary. Let's see if there's anything interesting. Gary Kreth exposed on that show up when we Google them. So one of the things that happens is people will research you online. If you get referred, that referral is going to research you online. Word of mouth, they research online. Heck, they could be a past client and they forget what your contact information is, so they're going to pull you up and research you online. And so when you go in, you want to make sure that as many of these as possible are ones that you can control or own. So when we click on this one here is the profile site that we have, or the marketing website that we have for Gary. And you can see it's super simple. Every month we put a blog post on there for you. So we post a blog post there every month for you. It's professionally written, professionally designed. This is the reason we post a blog post for you every month, is so that it never looks like you've gone out of business because you haven't updated your website in a while. So we post this for you. You can also add your listings, right? So you can go in, add listings. It's very easy to do so. It takes about 2 to 5 minutes if you have the photos ready, because it's just drag and drop. So you can do property landing pages. By the way, if you're doing listing market, if you're going to be marketing listings, one of the things you need to do is to have property landing pages for every one of your listings to be the hub of all your communications. The other thing that you can do is go in and customize these. You can make them, add your own blog posts. One of the things that Gary did here recently for that How's the Market post is he dropped a video introducing the piece instead of using the graphic. And so it makes it easy to have a good looking website, just another representation of you online and another potential search result to show up in Google. And that is included when you join.
Yep. Excellent. So go join right now. We want to make sure that you join today and get the listing presentation templates that you can modify, the client welcome kit templates, and that 8-week marketing plan template. You're going to get all of those when you sign up right now. Matthew Ledford, sorry, Matthew, says, is this sweet little site Google Analytics trackable?
It is. You can drop your Google Analytics ID in there. You can even, if you're using Facebook Pixel, you can drop your Facebook Pixel in there. So yes, it is set up and easy to do. It's just in the main settings.
Yep. Next question is from Nicole. Are you getting your stats, I believe, from the DLP? You want to pull that slide up?
Yeah, sure.
Are you getting your stats from NAR and your local MLS? So when what I'm doing is I'm comparing our brokerage against the average realtor sale in Austin. So what that means is I am going to the local MLS and I'm pulling up the statistics of what that looks like. By the way, some people said, Karen said, how do you go about stating these facts, these statistics, when you don't have the experience?
These are brokerage stats.
These are brokerage stats. These are not my personal
or team
statistics.
Stats.
Brokerage, team, whatever you need. And by the way, if you need help pulling these statistics, go ask your broker. That's what they're there for, is to help you do stuff like this.
Well, and here's the thing, like you might have to get a little creative with it. So we focus on the high-end market in Austin. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, homes that are over $1 million take longer to sell than homes that are $300,000. So we might have to modify this a little bit to be able to say, hey, the $1 million plus market, here's what the average days on market, and here's what we're doing, and here's what the list to sale price ratio is versus what we're doing, right? So, or conversely, you might want to zero in on a particular market, like the real estate investment market or the particular neighborhood, right? So, you know what, Gary? I don't think I showed everybody the entire presentation that they get. They only saw a few of the slides.
Let's show them.
So I'm just going to go through and run through pretty quickly
do that
while you pull up the next question.
The next one. Yep.
So this is professionally designed listing presentation. You'll be able to come in here, you can delete the picture of us and put yourself there. So it's in Keynote, it's in PowerPoint, so it's really easy for you to be able to modify. But it's a template for you to be able to use to follow the structure of the conversation that Gary uses when he goes on a listing appointment. Now, I shared many of these slides with you over the course of today's presentation, but there's a whole bunch more in here that we have that really complete the conversation. And when you sign up and you download this, we have a training component that you'll access to be able to learn how to talk about each one of these slides. Now, you don't have to use the whole thing. You might just pull a couple of pages from this listing presentation and start using that. I mean, if all you did was use the stats slide and the marketing slides, you're going to be better off than not having them, right? So, and that way you don't have to learn a whole new listing presentation. You can just learn a couple of talking points for a few of the slides.
I will tell you though, is that we did have a client who joined our club and downloaded that listing presentation template, modified it on a Thursday, went and used it at a listing appointment on that Friday, and emailed us and said, oh my gosh, it works. And we're like, yeah, we know.
That was John, yeah. John's a good talker. He just took that thing and he just showed up with it and just started talking through it. And
well, by the way, his name's John Diaz. He's a long-term client of ours. He's in California. And what he's actually been able to do is take our listing presentation template, our client welcome kit template, and our 8-week marketing plan template, customize them for himself and his firm, and he actually charges on average 7 to 8% on a listing, where most of his competition is charging 5%.
Right.
So, you want to talk about some success right there? That guy is using these the way they need to be used and is really successful.
I think that's one of the important things to note because of the structure and of the whole process that we shared with you guys today. One of the things that I didn't really point out, because it's part of the theory, I guess, or the conceptual reason why this works. But when you look at the entire thing that you do, and ultimately it represents a different quality offer to the seller, right? Because we're going to produce greater results. You know, we've done all this work to build trust with them. We've provided all the evidence necessary for them to trust us in producing those results. And then we've even given them our game plan on what we're going to do. Now, all of a sudden, the question in their mind about, will you discount your commission? You have something to fall back on, right? So instead of saying, well, I guess that's what people do, is you can fall back on, here's, you know, I got 17,000 reasons, right?
You remember, I have my phone between us. What I say is, well, it's just role play.
All right.
So go ahead and.
So Gary, everything.
I'm going to do this real quick. Okay.
So let's role play. I'll be the seller.
That's a good idea.
And then you'll be.
I'll pretend I'm a realtor. Okay.
So you know, Gary, everything looks good in this, and we would like to work with you. But I have an important question.
Sure.
Because I talked to somebody else, and they said they would do this, and so I'm assuming you would do this as well. But will you discount your commission?
Oh gosh, you know, apparently I did a very poor job of showing you how well we're outperforming the market, like that realtor who's willing to discount their commission. Do you mind if we review that one slide in my marketing proposal where I showed you how, remember the 17,250 reasons, how this number actually makes you a lot more money by me not discounting my commission?
Just had to ask, bro.
You know, and that's the thing, is that they always come back and say, I get it, I just had to ask. And I'm like, you know what, I get it too, because I ask for discounts all the time. So,
well, in their mind, a lot of times people will ask just to see if you'll say yes, but you've already done the job of providing the evidence and proof of why they're going to accept the higher fee.
Absolutely. You got it. All right, next question. We have Jason says, do you send the seller's net sheet before you meet them? I don't, and here's why.
What is a seller's net sheet?
So a seller's net sheet shows a seller how much they can potentially make if we sell their house at a specific price point. Number one is, I don't want to share with them what I think their house is worth or what a buyer might pay for their house before I see the house, because they may have made improvements that I didn't know about. There may be issues with the house I'm not aware of. And so I can't really assess the value of a house until I see it.
Right. You have to see the condition of the property and how that property and its condition stacks up against its competition. Yes.
Right. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is, I don't want to give them a reason to not be happy with me before I even show up and build trust with them. Right. So if I send them a net sheet showing them what I think that their house will probably sell for, and it's well below what I already know they think their house is worth, I'm just setting myself up for failure.
I think it's important to follow the process that we've outlined here. Everything's done by design, because an objection is usually a question that came up in their mind over the course of the presentation that wasn't handled, that wasn't addressed, right? So if you insert information like price of home, before you've done the appropriate setup and address that concern before it becomes one, then it's going to become an objection. So when you send that in the net sheet before you even had a chance to talk with them and meet them and go through the entire process, you're giving them a reason to object to you before you've even built trust.
And I absolutely do not want to do that. So we want to build trust, not give them a reason not to trust us. Next question is, my Join Club Now button disappeared. I'm ready to sign up. How do I do that? I am going to actually add that into the chat section right now. It says join Chris and Gary's club today, and then it has the link. You can just click on that link. If you do still see that blue button and you haven't signed up yet, go over there into the chat section, click on the blue button that says join club now. Somebody just said, hey, do I need to input a promo code? No, John, there is no promo code. That's why we gave you that specific link. Only through that link are you going to get our listing presentation templates, the client welcome kit templates, and our 8-week marketing plan templates. So go sign up right now, and we will get to the next question. Karen says, do you bring the seller their CMA? So if you're not familiar with if you're brand new, CMA is a comparative market analysis. Do I bring them a CMA? I actually do. I have it on my iPad, and it's all electronic, but my clients never really actually look at it because I've already built enough trust with them. I don't know if you were here with us when we talked about the price point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I say, gosh, you know, I have all this data here on my iPad that we can look at, and it'll take 20 or 30 minutes, or I can just tell you what the research says.
Well, I think it's important too. The CMA doesn't tell the whole story,
No,
right?
it does
You
not.
really have to go, and you might even tell them, look, I've got the data, and I've actually previewed all the inventory that would compete with your home, and I can tell the condition of those homes, and based on the price of those homes, and where a buyer is going to be willing and able to purchase your home, right? Based on all those other circumstances. Because if you just base it off of the piece of paper that says the price on it, it doesn't give them a true picture of even what their home is worth. Because of course you gravitate to the highest priced one and say, well, what about that one? Well, that one, based on the condition of your home, all right. So you gotta. That's where the whole process is important to build that trust.
Because here's the thing, is that if we don't follow the process and I don't have that trust built yet, what the client feels is that like they have to convince us, they have to fight us, they have to arm wrestle us for the price that they want. Right. And the thing is that the price that they want is only relevant to them. It's not relevant to the buyer. The buyer doesn't care.
I think there's this like, what do you call that? A scale, right? And so there's this, if you put on one side what I want for my home, and then on the other side you put trust built. So in the beginning, what I want from my home is built up here because the trust is really low. And then as trust builds and they view you as that listing expert, and then all of a sudden it shifts to, well, actually, I want to follow your advice because you know what the heck you're talking about, and what I want from my home becomes less important.
Exactly.
Because I'm trusting you more, just on that scale of their decision making. At first, it's all about what I want, and will you discount your commission? And then as they trust you, as they see you as a listing expert, as they see you as someone who's knowledgeable, has more knowledge than they have, who has a good process for executing results, all of a sudden that scale tips to where now they're saying, well, Gary, whatever you say.
So let me share an example. As you're aware, I currently have one of my investment properties on the market. And I was sitting there, I'm like, oh, this is the price. This is what the price is. And what I did is I caught myself because I'm acting like a home seller, not as a realtor. And so you know what I did to put myself in check? I called my brother. He's a realtor. And I said, Jonathan, what is this property worth? And he said, well, interestingly, I'm actually showing clients homes in that neighborhood right now. So I know all the inventory. And he knows that house because that was the house I used to live in. And he said, your house right now is worth this much. And I was like, oh, man, really? He goes, oh, I get it. You're acting like a seller. I was like, yeah, it got me. So,
well, it's funny, until we find ourselves in that situation like that, it's oftentimes we don't realize what they're thinking and where they're at. But you trust your brother. Absolutely. He's looking at everything. He knows the market. Yep. So now you're like, all right, that's what it's worth. Yep. You don't say, well, Jonathan, I want you to show me all your comps for that. No, he doesn't even need to look at the comps. He knows what it is.
I got it. All right. So next question. Sherry says, can these blog posts be added to my company's website?
Absolutely. You'll get a copy of the blog. In addition to posting it on our website, you can unpublish them if you want. You don't have to use them at all. But we will give you a Word document that you can use to take those blog posts and put it on your company site.
Candy says, how does this coaching work? You want to explain? Actually, why don't you pull up the site?
Yeah.
And so what it is we actually have 2 monthly training sessions. So I think in real estate, we just call it coaching. The reality is it's training.
We provide training. So we provide.
You actually have to share the screen, Chris. I'm sorry. I stole the screen. And
I'm over here looking at my screen, thinking everyone sees everything, and you're over like kicking me off. All right.
So he's going to share a screen. And
so the first thing that's going to happen, Gary, is when they log in, they're going to come to their dashboard page. And from here, they're going to get access to all the tools and resources that we've provided. So they'll be able to get, for example, the marketing materials that we give every month. That will be located here. The marketing website is located under this card called Agent ID site. There's even an email marketing suite that they have access to, which I didn't really talk about. And then there are other programs that the other bonus gifts that they've received are going to be down here throughout this, the rest of this dashboard. I have like every program ever created on here, so you won't see as many cards as I do. What you will want to do is click over to the coaching club, and from there you're going to be able to access the training library.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably rename that thing something else, as like, I don't know, training. Oops. Uh-oh, Gary.
Uh-oh. This is the danger.
You never know when something like this is going to happen, and it's not going to work on you. Hold on. Please work.
It worked.
It worked. Goodness. Okay.
It's so funny. I love watching you sweat sometimes. They're so much fun.
So from here, notice I didn't even use my own password. I used yours.
Do you have my banking passwords too?
You know, I mean, I like to check in, see what's going on with our accounts, you know. So go in here. You'll see the resource library is where the training library is. Now, we do these live, but after we do our sessions live, what we'll do is we'll take a recording of it and we'll put it into this training library. So, for example, we recently did one on tech and tools to market listings and attract listing inventory to become the neighborhood listing agent. Here's another one, marketing magic for email, social posts, and online ads. How to create your YouTube channel. I mean, there's literally hundreds of these things that we've done. Making Evernote your COO. Evernote hacks for real estate agents. Technologies for closing buyers faster. Facebook marketing. There's tons and tons of different topics. So let me just zero in on one. How to get your website found on Google. Okay, so let's click on that one. So this was a training that we did. And within our training, what we do, and I know we call it coaching. We should probably, like I said, we should probably just call this training membership. But in here, you're going to get all these resources. So if I want to be able to get my website to show up on Google, there's all these things that I can do. So we have this resource for the SEO primer. There's how to do a just listed campaign on Facebook checklist. There's the 10-step real estate marketing checklist. And these are all the things that you would do to try and get your website to get higher up on Google. And then below that, you'll see that there's actual videos from the training session that we did that we've just chopped up into bite-sized bits for you to go through and to be able to follow along in the training. And like I said, you can show up live and ask questions. So if you've got a question or you're trying to implement and you're curious about how something works, you just show up to the session live and then ask the question there. And so this is what they get in terms of the ongoing training and resources. But I got to say, Gary, if you never do participate in any of the trainings and all you do is take advantage of the marketing materials that we give you,
yep.
If you take advantage of the website that you have, that easily exceeds $67 a month. I know, because we do marketing in our own real estate practice, that you're going to spend a few $100s a month just on getting those marketing materials. I know for a website like that, you're going to spend like $99 a month just to get a simple website like that. And so you couple just those things alone, and then it's worth the $67 investment. Now they're going to get those other gifts, and they're going to get all this additional training. There's even, check this out, Gary, there is even a private Facebook group that they will have access to. You'll just go over to the private Facebook group. And one of the great things about the private Facebook group is there's collective knowledge of like thousands of people in here who know a lot more than Gary and I do when you sum it all together and what everyone's doing. Because to be honest with you, not everything works in every market. It needs a little bit of tweaking, a little tailoring. But you can come in here. Now, one of my favorite things in here is just the sheer amount of referred business that transacts through this.
Absolutely, yeah. So people refer business back and forth all the time. In fact, I think over the past year, Chris, I've sent or received 8 or 10 referrals just through our private Facebook group alone. So like Chris said, if you want all these goodies, just go sign up right now, because I'm going to get to the next question. It actually just talks about, David said, are these brandable?
So there is a section, he's talking about the marketing materials.
That's right.
And so let me just pull up some of the examples. On the back side of this, there's a spot for you to be able to brand to put your contact information and put your personal information on there. And then, of course, when you're going through and adding these other things, you can always add your brand to it. You make your Facebook posts, the blog posts, anything that you're doing on social media, the cover letters that you're sending out. So yeah, you can customize them so that they can be, the thing is, we don't want to get recognition for these things that we're sending out. We want you to get the recognition for sending this stuff out.
Next question is about support. Both Candy and Shari said something about support. So let's talk about support and how people get support when they need it.
Okay.
And additionally, maybe you can start talking about the new member orientation.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Gary. So first things first, when you sign up, for those of you who have already signed up, keep an eye on your inbox, because we're going to send you an invitation to join us for a new member kickoff meeting.
Yep.
And it's every Monday at noon Central Standard Time, or 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So on Monday, there will be a new member kickoff. And what we're going to do is Jordan, who runs all of our membership services, she's going to take you.
She's right over there.
She's actually right over here.
She's waving. You just can't see her.
So Jordan's going to walk you through, how do I get up and running on everything that is in the club. So she's going to show you what the highlights are. She's going to show you what to go do to start getting immediate value from this. And I think more than anything else, that is the key thing is, all right, how do I get my marketing materials out? How do I get my listing presentation? Where's that thing at? How do I get that property marketing plan? Now, when it comes to supporting these things, they're easy, right? They're Word documents, they're Keynote documents. It's not like there's a whole lot for you to do. However, if you've got questions on, all right, I can't seem to locate this, or, help me find this tool or resource, you can always email us at support@thepaperlessagent.com. Now, if you have more of a coaching or a consulting type question, what I'm going to encourage you to do first for the most immediate response is go to the private Facebook group and ask the question there. What you're going to find is that you're going to get so many more powerful perspectives, and the collective wisdom of that group is tremendous. The other thing that I'm going to suggest that you do, oh, by the way, one of the things that I do is I pay attention to the questions that go into that private Facebook group. And if it's something that's getting a lot of traction, it's something that I will put into one of our live trainings and answer that question live. You can also join us on the live trainings and ask your questions there. Now, we don't always get to all of the questions, because there's oftentimes a lot of content that we're sharing on here's what's working in our practice right now, or here's an email that we sent out that made us $87,000 in commissions, like that one re-engagement letter that we shared with everybody.
Yep.
So we're always sharing those best practices. So, but those are the places where I would, encourage you to seek support from us.
Excellent. Talking about support, I love this. They're like so not even paying attention anymore. Matthew and Alex are not paying attention. They signed up, and Matthew says he just signed up and he's already setting up his agent site. He's wondering about adding a GPDR notification. And Alex just signed up and wants to add his listing into the landing page. And so, but there is specific training in there. There's video training of exactly how to do that.
Yeah, it's very, very simple. In fact, who was it? Alex wants to be able to add a listing to the landing page. Yeah. When you log in, once you're done setting up, just click on the button on the left-hand side that says Add Listing.
And it's that simple.
Actually, it says Listings, and at the top it says Add Listing. And then just have your photos ready and your marketing narrative ready, and plug that in.
Yeah.
The GDPR, that's an interesting question. We don't do the notifications.
No, and here's why. Are we marketing in the UK and Europe?
No, we're not. And we're not proactively marketing there. I'm wondering if somebody, I don't know, maybe they have like a international business or something like that. Maybe. The workaround for that would probably be to just add a link into the footer and then have that go to your GDPR notification is what I would do.
Yep.
We're just marketing in all, for our own real estate practice, and for most people, they're not doing the whole market internationally thing. But if you are, what I would suggest is just there's an option to customize the footer and then drop a link to your GDPR notification page. You could actually add it on your website. If you want to add it on, you could create a blog post on it and then have that on your blog and then just link to that from your footer.
That would make it easy.
That's just a little workaround.
Sherry says, how much notice, if any, do we have to give if we decide to cancel?
Oh, you just go into the online portal there, and there's a section under your account.
You don't even have to pick up the phone and call us.
Yeah, and it'll be pretty immediate. We hate to see you go. We don't want you to leave, because we believe that the marketing materials, the website, the ongoing training information you're going to receive from us, the tools. Oh my goodness, Gary, I forgot to show the resource library section of the site. Let me pull this up one more time.
Okay.
And then.
So he's going to share a screen, and you may lose audio for one.
I did the wrong button.
Hey, that was cool.
I know. That was like a whiteboard feature.
Yep.
So another very cool feature.
Hold on.
That's located.
And there you go. Okay.
In this section right here is when you go into that coaching club section. I mentioned that there's all these templates and stuff. So you go to the resource library, go to the file box. Under the file box, you're going to find that there's several hundred different tools and resources. Everything from buyer guides to seller guide templates, home anniversary campaigns, professional network campaigns. I mean, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of things. There's actually too much stuff in here, I think, that if you have, like, what I would suggest is that if you have anything that you're going to do in your real estate practice, is you come over to the file box and just do a search on the feature, because we have things categorized. Like, you're like, you know what, I want to do an open house. So you search here, and there's like all these different open house resources. But you can also use that search feature to say, you know what, I've just got a listing and I want to market that listing. Let's say market listing on Facebook. Let's see if this works.
If you can spell Facebook.
Did I spell? I know. So give it a second while it processes. I think we've talked about Facebook so much that there's going to be an awful lot of Facebook stuff. Oh, there it is. As soon as I click on it. So marketing listing on Facebook. So there's all these different tools that are going to come up in that search. So for example, let's say you want to be able to set up your Facebook business page because you want to start using the Facebook platform. And then there's a whole video as well as resources associated with that specific thing.
Yep. And by the way, like Chris said, you get access to this entire library. You get access to all of our archives. You get access to all of it when you sign up today. So we're going to get to a few more questions, but at the end of this webinar, that link that says Join Club Now, that's going bye-bye. So go click on that link right now and sign up as we get to this next question. It's actually two people asked a similar question, Greg and Lorena. Greg said, do you email or mail the 8-week marketing plan and client welcome kit? And Lorena said, do you send both the client welcome kit and 8-week marketing plan in the same email? So Greg, what we do is we do email. If for some reason we have clients who don't have email, what do? We will mail it or hand deliver it. So we're making sure that we get that to them before the appointment. And Lorena, by the way, pre-email days, I would print them out and I would hand deliver them. I actually had my assistant hand deliver it to the client 2 days before my appointment. So just make sure you get it in their hands. And then Lorena, do I send it in the same email? I do, because I don't want to send multiple emails to the client and just overload them right from the beginning. So I just send them both in the same email. And then Crystal says, since the market is shifting, would you rename your 8-week marketing plan in case the listing takes longer than that to sell? It's totally up to you. Right. Somebody else said, if you're selling houses in 16 days, why do you show them an 8-week marketing plan? It's because I need them to see that we have all of this. And do they ever ask? I've never had anybody say, well, on average, you're selling houses much faster than 8 weeks. Why are you telling me an 8-week marketing plan? No, I mean, they just, I like having the 8-week marketing plan. If I show them a 16-day marketing plan, it'll be thin. It's going to be too thin. Well, I want to show them a beefy marketing plan.
The other thing is homes in different price points or even different types of homes. Like, you know, a piece of land is going to take longer to sell than a house.
Yes.
$1 million house is going to take longer to sell usually than a $200,000 house. So just depending. And by the way, what you can do, if you're seeing that it starts to shift, you can actually just start to, the way the plan is set up is that it's like the first 4 weeks are pretty like down pat. The second 4 weeks, you can just keep repeating. So it's more important that they see that there is a plan. And you can even note that, like, hey, if it doesn't sell within that period of time, we're going to readjust and reassess the marketing. In fact, when you read that marketing plan, you're going to see there's a little narrative for each week on what the focus and what the emphasis is. And on certain weeks and then on certain days, we are going to go in there, take a look at what's happening. We want to let them know that we're going to go in and assess the data. We're going to assess the website traffic, the ad traffic. We're going to look at how many showings is this thing having so that we get a complete picture on how the market is responding to that listing. And you tell them that's what you're going to do, because if you tell them that's what you're going to do, now all of a sudden it's part of the overall game plan. Instead of you saying, oh, you know what, I have some bad news. People aren't looking at your home. And no, you tell them that's what you're going to do so you can give them updates from time to time. Don't be afraid to tell them what you're going to do. Because if it's normal and part of the process, and you're like, yeah, well, this is what we're going to do. You could even say the market's shifting. Because of that, we're going to pay special attention to the marketing and the response to the marketing immediately following that. Because that's going to reveal to us, have we priced it right? You know, is it, if you get, of course, if you get a bunch of inquiries, that means you priced it either right or maybe a little bit below right, right? So, but that it's okay. As long as, I think one of the things that happens is people get afraid. I mean, do you find this, that instead of just treating it like this is normal, right? Like a doctor, right? You go to a doctor and you're like, hey man, I got this big cut on my arm. And if the doctor was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? You'd be like, ah, you know. My wife is like that with our kids. Our kids are like, I got a boo-boo. And my wife's like, and then they're like,
oh my God, mom's freaking out, so now I have to freak out.
Versus, saying, oh, don't worry about it. It's going to be just fine. Let's go ahead and put a Band-Aid on there. Let's sew that thing up. This is perfectly normal. It's like, hey, no one's looking at the house. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? No, you got to be the cool, calm, collected one and saying, hey, this is totally normal and part of the process, and this is how we're going to roll.
All right, so next question is Karen. Karen just signed up. Karen, welcome to the club. Just to clarify, I can use your materials on my website. Yeah. Everything you're receiving from us, you get to use wherever and whenever you want, because we want you to be successful. We want you to do what we're doing that's working and implement it into your business as well. So use absolutely everything you can to leverage yourself and to build your business. That's the whole point of you being a part of our group.
Well, the thing is, we gave them like the fire hose of information today. And what I really suggest for you guys is just take one thing and implement it. We've covered a lot. We talked about listing presentations. We talked about client welcome kit templates. We talked about marketing plans. We've talked about how to go out and get listing opportunities. If all you did in the next week is did this one thing, download the client welcome kit template, drop your mug on there and take Gary's off of there.
Drop your mug.
All right. And then
or photo.
Email that out to the people that you know and just tell them, hey, I recently updated my client welcome kit. And I wanted to, as we go into this time of year when a lot of people are thinking of making a move, is to be able to equip them with some useful information. So since you're my client, I wanted to give this to you so that you have a tool to be able to provide value to the people that you know and care about. And just send that out. And here's what will happen. They've now, not only do you get a really high touch because you've given your clients, or it doesn't have to be clients, it just be people that you know, right? It's not like you would have had to even work with them. Not only have you given them a reminder that you sell real estate, not only have you given them a resource to be able to say, this is pretty useful for me too. You've given them a tool to be able to talk about, and this is how word of mouth gets built, right? They have to remember that you sell real estate. They've got to be reminded of the value that you have. And if they haven't worked with you in the past, they need to be able to see a demonstration of the value that you're going to provide, which is embedded in this. So if all you did over the next week is download that thing and send that out, and then even follow up with people like, hey, I sent my client welcome kit. Just want to let you know what I'm doing.
Yep. Do you have any questions about it?
Anything Are you thinking of moving?
Are you thinking of moving? By the way, I did want to give a quick shout out to Karen. Welcome. She just said, welcome. Thank you, bunches. You're very welcome. Karen. By the way, a quick shout out to some of our other newest members. We have Ross, Hal, Katie, Rick, Linda, Allie, Regine, Jerry, Rhonda, Nina, Linda, Stephen, Amy, Kelly, Lark, Lucy, Deb, Randall, Trung, Alan, Karen, Anna Maria, Eric, Hank, Amy, Terry, Shelley, Sandra, and more. So welcome to Chris and Gary's club here. We're so happy that you're here just to learn about everything that we're doing, everything that we've been doing for the past 21 years, and everything that everybody else in the club is doing that works. So if you have not taken that opportunity to join us in the club, go do it right now, because we only have a couple more minutes and a couple more questions to get to. Jason says, is your marketing presentation different for luxury versus an average property? No, because here's the thing.
It would take too much work for Gary to do that. He's just not going to do that.
I'm too lazy. Come on, man. Come on. Yeah. No, and by the way, do we go on non-luxury listing appointments? Absolutely. We have a couple of non-luxury listings right now.
Heck, we have a gas station.
We got a gas station for sale. If you're interested in investing in a gas station in and around Austin, let us know. It's only $1.875 million. Anyway. Gas station. I got to talk to my brother. Like, dude, we're selling gas now? No, a gas station. Alex Bryce says, do you have any open house do's and don'ts? We do.
Oh yeah.
In fact, we have training sessions.
Yeah, if you go into that library, the training library, and search open house, we've done a number of sessions because Gary has a whole blueprint for how he conducts an open house. And even if you don't have listings to do an open house for, in that blueprint, it explains how do you convince other people to let you hold their listing open. But There is a full strategy there, everything from the signage strategy to the marketing strategy to what you say. He even has, I think there's a checklist in there that covers like how to prep for the open house, including things like making sure you run through there and put the toilet seat down. Just a little. Hey, we're thorough. If no one can ever accuse us of not being.
Oh my
thorough.
gosh! By the way, go check out our YouTube channel after you join, because there's our blooper reel there, which was absolutely hilarious. Paul says, "Great training, guys. I've been enjoying my membership over the past couple of months."
Oh,
Thanks.
awesome!
Thank you so
Paul.
much for saying that, Paul. That means the world to us. Amy says, "How do I get onto the private Facebook group now that I've signed up?" What you're going to do when you log in to your member portal, it's the paperlessagent.com/dashboard. When you log in there, it has instructions. It says, "Have you joined our private Facebook group yet?" So go click on that, and it will take you to that private Facebook group. You need to request access. Our team will go through, make sure that you're a member. This is for members only. So, you know, Amy, when you sign up, they'll go through, make sure that you signed up today, and then they'll accept you into the membership there.
Yeah. After you sign up, you can also just go to Facebook and type in Paperless Agent Club or something like that, and it'll be one of the search results.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Luis says, "Clearly you have processes in place that work." Thank you. Yes, we do. "From the prospecting call to the listing appointment, are there steps or processes available as a member?"
Wait, say that again?
She's basically saying, do we teach them the prospecting steps all the way through the listing appointment? And yes.
Well, I think it's definitely broken out into different stages, because when you look at it, I wish. So when you look at it, because if you to take on that whole thing all at one time, that's a project. What I would do is I suggest that you pick one thing that you want to master first, right? So is it the listing presentation? I really recommend that you get what my recommendation. I'm curious to see if yours is different. So what I would suggest is update your listing presentation, go through the videos to learn how to do that. Go through the initial consultation templates and learn how to do that. And the reason why I say do that first before you start creating the opportunities is you don't want to lose the opportunity because you did the work to generate the opportunity and then you lost them like on the follow through.
Absolutely. So I totally agree. Here's a great example. Is one thing that I did a long time ago is the very first year that the iPad came out, I bought that iPad. And I created a process of how to do an entire listing appointment on the iPad. But here's the thing, is that I didn't test it out before I actually went and met with clients. So I created it and I'm like, oh man, this is sharp. I got to go try this right now. So I went on a listing appointment, took my iPad, failed. Didn't even get the listing because I looked like a complete idiot. They're like, oh, you brought an iPad. And I'm like, yeah, but this isn't working. I don't know why it's not working. It's like, oh my gosh. I literally failed and continued failing forward for about 12 months creating that whole process.
Practice first, then generate the opportunities.
Shari said, "I just joined. Welcome. Where do I find my agent landing page to create the bio?" So it's called the Agent ID site, Shari. And then Amy has a follow-up question. Amy did join, but she's a little concerned. She said, "I'm not techie. I'm worried about being able to do all of this now that I've signed up." Here's the thing. Amy, have you ever seen the movie What About Bob? Remember what Bob, who is Bill Murray, walks in to a psychiatrist's appointment,
which is Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss. Gosh, he was great. And Bob is freaking out about everything in life. And what Richard coached him on was baby steps, because Bob's like, well, what do I do now? And he's like, well, you need to go home.
First, you need to take a baby step out the office.
And he's like, you need to baby step your butt out of my office, baby step onto the elevator. And he's following him. He's like, you got this, Bob, baby steps. And Bob followed that. And he's like, baby steps onto the elevator, baby steps out. And so this is all about baby steps. And the great thing, Amy, is that everything that we train on, we train in baby steps. Today was a public webinar. This is a public training where we wanted to show you guys what's possible. Now, through the club, we show you in baby steps how to execute on this.
Well, if you were able to register for this webcast and show up and watch it, You've got everything you need to be able to modify these documents and send them out, right? It's not like taking that listing presentation that's in Keynote or PowerPoint and making changes to that is technically difficult. If you are using a computer, you're going to be able to figure that out pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
And the template's already there. So it's not all you do is like change the word from Kreth Partners to you. Take
Amy Callahan.
I suggest you take the picture of Gary and I off of there, but you could leave it on there.
You probably don't look like me.
Yeah. You could say like these are my friends, so remove the leadership team component there and just put my friends.
My buds.
I'm just
my
joking
buds
with
in
you.
Austin.
I mean, the client welcome kit template, same thing. The digital property marketing plan, same thing. Now, they're probably thinking, well, how do I implement some of that stuff on that digital property marketing plan? Well, that's what you go to the training library for. But I don't know if I would start there because you have all this other stuff that you can do. And many of you probably have a contract to close person or a virtual assistant that you can say, download that property marketing plan, say, now do this. Just do it for me on the next listing appointment that I go to.
Awesome. Okay. By the way, if you have not signed up, go do it right now because we're about to shut down. And I wanted to give a warm welcome to some of our newest members, Cheryl, Michael, Zachary, Sheila, Michael, Lisa, Sherry, Dolce. That's cool. Dolce Candy. So, you got it in both languages.
Dolce.
Helen, Don, Paige, David, Emmy, Robbie, Marie, Levi, Karen, Tammy. I'm butchering so many names. I'm going to stop right now. But welcome to our coaching club, training club. I need to change the vernacular there. But welcome to the training club. We cannot wait to see you on our next live session, which is going to be next Wednesday. And we can't wait to see you in the private Facebook group. So make sure that when you sign up, you go do that now. Chris, Candy just signed up. And thanks, guys, for all the training.
Our pleasure.
By the way, would you go and show them one more time what everybody gets when they sign up right now?
Yep.
I said show them. I didn't say tell them about it.
Specific with me, Gary.
I know it.
Not the sharpest tool in the shed. So you guys are going to get the listing presentation template, which many of you already downloaded, I bet. The client welcome kit templates and the 8-week marketing plan when you join the club for only $67 a month. Please sign up now before we sign off.
Absolutely. Get her done, as I said, and I'm going to put that, by the way, into the chat section. And I was just corrected by Jordan, our training club manager. The next coaching session is November 7th, not next week. I think that's why Chris looked at me sideways like, dude, what world are you living in? So we're going to take Halloween off and go, get all dressed up and gussied up.
I get dressed up.
All right.
I'm going to be a hunter man.
I'm not sure about that. Do you need to borrow a gun?
No, my kids have got a bunch of BB guns that I'm going to be able to walk around the neighborhood with. I'm sure they'll be really safe.
I'm calling the cops right now. All right, everybody, go sign up right now. Can't wait to see you in the club, and we're going to sign off.
All right, we'll see you online. Take care.
Bye-bye.